Hot Top Sports, where the takes don't miss. The prof with the stats, the champ with the fist. Water bringing fire, cowboy tie riding bold. Bulls calling bets, watch the stories unfold. And it's truly eyebrows running the show. It's Hot Top Sports, baby. Let's get it. Let's go.
Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to High Top Sports. Happy Sunday to all of you. It's been a wild one. We live streamed the selection show earlier today, and since then, it's been absolute chaos. Well, only from one team. I think the rest of college football kind of was like, whatever, we'll move on and we'll settle in. Since then, Notre Dame has opted out of their bowl game. We'll talk a little bit about that, but we got Allie Peak joining us because we've had a wild week since last Sunday, since the announcement of John Summerall was going to be the next Florida Gators head coach. We've gotten two OCs. He is now a playoff coach as well, Coach Summerall. So a lot of the things to discuss. I want to get Allie's opinion on where she thinks Coach Summerall is at this point. Maybe give him a grade halfway through this process or even just a quarter of the way through, comparing him like I want to this entire process, comparing him to the other coaches that were hired at this time. Unlike the other coaches, he is continuing to coach into the college football playoffs. So a little bit of a unique situation here for our guy, John Summerall. But we'll get Allie Peak in here, ladies and gentlemen, and have ourselves a show. Allie, welcome. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing well. Chaos today with the college football playoffs, huh?
Yeah. I mean, there was several different scenarios that were going to be chaotic. So I almost think no matter what was picked, there was going to be some questions about it. I don't love the James Madison in. They have to be because that's what the rules state, but I think the rules are stupid, so we should probably change them. And I do think the Miami over Notre Dame makes sense, but I would have left them both out and took Vandy.
So I don't disagree with that. The problem is, and again, I don't think Miami should have went over Vandy, and everyone thinks I'm going to be a hater with Miami. I really could get two shits. I think both teams would have lost first round, to be honest with you. I think Notre Dame has found a nice little bit of a rhythm here, but I think A&M, E&M's already beat A&M or Notre Dame.
I think if Notre Dame and Miami played today, that Notre Dame would win. I just have an issue when you have two teams that we already have the answer. We saw this game this year, and they have the same record. So then to elevate the loser of that head-to-head feels very wrong to me. I do agree with Notre Dame's argument that you gave us false hope for the last several weeks by ranking us ahead of Miami. And that is because this show every Tuesday is literally for ratings. And I think I've said this on your show. I've said this on my own show. There is no consistency from one week to the other, what we're going to see. So like when we say, okay, well, there's a 99% chance of XYZ happening based on before, why do we keep getting tricked into thinking that there's going to be some correlation? Because there's literally not. They do whatever the hell they want to, and they purposely mislead us some of the times because it's great for ratings.
Yeah, that was the thing that I only argued for is that, look, you could argue that one team obviously beat the other one, but the fact of the matter is that you had them ranked above them for 4 or 5 weeks. And I was like, I don't see how you can move them just based because they got close together, which doesn't make any sense either. Like it just...
That was the weirdest argument. Like the committee would do better to just shut up and not say a single word, because when they say things like, well, when they ended up next to each other, then we were able to compare head to head. Like, the outcome of this game. You didn't need them to be next to each other. You should have been using it as a determining factor all along. That doesn't compute for me. I do think that Notre Dame looks like a bunch of whiny babies opting out of a bowl game. I understand some of these 5 and 7 teams that opt out just because a lot of them have already moved on. Like guys have cleaned out their locker because they know they're going in the portal or they're graduating and they're out or whatever. And so even though I think that everybody should say yes to a bowl game if they're invited, I'm old school in that way. I think it's a great opportunity for the players, particularly the walk-ons and guys that maybe don't get to shine during the season. I think it's a fun week. It's a nice reward for the end of the season. So I'm not for anybody saying no to a bowl, but Notre Dame looks like bitches.
Yeah, they took their ball and went home. I think the other part of it too is if Notre Dame was in a conference, Notre Dame was in the ACC, they would have been moved on. This was 100% that you have the ACC commissioner phoning in of like, y'all don't have this up. You're either going to piss off an entire conference and cause a way more cluster and a more of a torpedo, or you piss off one singular fan base, which is Notre Dame. You don't upset a conference because there is no conference going like, well, our conference doesn't mean anything. You finally took a shot at this egotistical team that thinks I don't belong to anybody. Well, you're not that big anymore. And because, again, they kind of carried a lot of weight, but the brain of football has gotten so big now, Notre Dame is just an afterthought. And that's honestly what it boils down to. If Notre Dame was in the ACC, I promise you they would have been in over Miami. It came down to we can't piss off an entire conference. We can't leave one
I
out.
think if Virginia beats Duke,
Notre
I think
Dame's
Notre
in.
Dame.
Yep.
I just think the concept that and then we would have left Power 4 conferences isn't a great look. And so they had to do that.
Yeah, and look, maybe it goes for the better for Notre Dame. Them throwing a complete fit is obviously par for the course. Look, I do feel. I mean, I think they should be in it personally, but at the end of the day, if you leave it up to chance, that's kind of what it is. When you allow for those things for someone else to make the decision for you, you have to follow in that. For anybody who thought that Alabama was going to get kicked out, you can't penalize a team for playing an extra game like that. In my opinion, would be even worse.
That would have been the other Pandora's box that gets opened. Like that would have been. Now they sort of did it with BYU, which is interesting. But if you're going to piss off somebody, you want to piss off the Big 12, not piss off the SEC. But I struggle with that too. And that's why I would be a huge proponent. First of all, I want to use the BCS formula to give me my 12 teams. And then I want to take away automatic bids. Your championship game should be for the opportunity to play in, not necessarily your opportunity to fall out. And I think they're just, for BYU, the same team dog walked you twice. That is why they're out. And the rest of your schedule was cake. So that's why they're out. But this system isn't working. And I really don't think the answer is what ESPN has thrown down our throats today, which is expanded. We can't find 12 teams that we're convinced could win it all. Why the hell would we be able to find 16 to do that? We're going to have the same argument, but it's going to be about 17 and 18 and 19 instead of 13, 14, and 15.
The people have to realize the issue was just giving 2 G5 teams an automatic spot. If you remove them and you just put in, whether it be Vandy, BYU, or Notre Dame, nobody's complaining. If you're 13, you're 13. You know where it lies. Again, you have to, based on your scheduling, there's a factor to that. But yeah, again, if you just extend it, you're going to continue to have the same issue. But I think if you remove the JMU and Tulane situation, will people be upset? Obviously, that's always going to be a thing. But we would have felt like, okay, the 12 best are going at it. Let's get it. Let's go.
Right.
And
number 25 hopping in there. And think about the BCS formula. I mean, Utah got in. There's a scenario for a really talented G5 to make an appearance. So it's not like switching the systems and instead of using people completely eliminates that possibility. The possibility is there, but you're going to have to be rare. It's going to have to be an exceptional team, not just every year we throw two teams into the fire to sacrifice them just so we can say that we're equal opportunity.
Yeah, that's what I keep saying. I go, look, the idea of the G5 having an opportunity came from that Boise State team back in 2009 or whenever it was when they had Kelly Moore as their quarterback, that UCF team in 2017. Even Boise State team last year was rightfully in the playoffs. They didn't deserve a bye. But those
Kelly Moore team was in 2006. But
Kelly Moore?
I'll tell you why in a minute.
Okay. What team was the Statue of Liberty?
That was Boise, and it was the year that Florida won the national title.
Yeah, but they were really good that year. Like that was a really good Boise State team. That's what I'm saying. That those teams are the ones that you make the argument for that I'm okay with.
And they made a BCS bowl. They were in the Fiesta Bowl. So had we used that BCS model to pick our 12, Boise would be in the playoff.
Yeah.
Same thing for Utah in 2004. They would have been in the playoff.
Yeah, and all those I'm okay with. Like again, these are the issues that we've had. We've got almost 600 people in here, guys. Be sure to smash the like button and subscribe. They probably will expand to 16, and even with the Notre Dame situation, because again, the problem is the bowl games are completely irrelevant now, and so you have these extra games anyways. Is with how they're going to look at it. So like, hey, how do we fill them up? Give us an extra round of playoffs. I don't care. I mean, what's one more round of football of
I just think if when we're sitting here saying, well, so and so is going to be out in the first round, we know they're not making it past then, that we're too big. The whole concept should be that there is a group of teams that you are really not sure what is going to happen when they play each other, so they need to play each other. Not a situation where we're like, okay, well, they get an automatic bye, they're going to go, but they're playing so and so and they're going to get crushed, so it doesn't matter. We know they're out in the first round. Like, that feels wrong. We shouldn't know that there's only 4 or 5 teams capable of winning the 12-team playoff. Then it's too big if that's the case.
there. And look, I think because people obviously you can kind of look towards the NFL, but what makes college football special is the uniqueness of the conferences. The other issue is that these conferences have different rules of how you make the conference championship. So the fact that you have the SEC, the ACC all have different tiebreakers and what causes who's playing in your championship. I mean, Miami should have been playing in the ACC championship. I'm glad they didn't, but they should have been. I mean, the fact that you have a 7-4
our own conference's stupid tiebreaker rules, like it's asinine. But also, the conference championships were created for conferences with divisions. So you look at the SEC, for instance, and it's not built for what the conference championship is anymore. Maybe the answer is you go back to divisions. There's a division championship, and then the 2 division championships play each other in the conference championships. Like, maybe that is a playoff model, but it keeps every game counting, particularly within your conference, because that's your path in.
Yeah, it's I don't want the conference.
There's no parity either, which is what makes it difficult. Like, anybody in the top 5 or the top 50% of the SEC could probably beat almost anybody but Indiana and Ohio State on any given day. And lots of those teams are at home. You can't say that about any other conference. So there's no parity between them. And it's not, that in itself is not fair.
Yeah, it's again I mean, the Big Ten didn't send too many teams that they look like they would have earlier in this year by only sending 3 with Ohio State, Indiana, and Oregon. A couple of super chats here, and then I want to get into Summerall. Hey, my Gator friends, just watch our coach on SEC Now. They did an interview with him of I am so excited about our coach. Everything about him is different than our last coach. Go Gators from Martha Beers. $10. Thank you, Martha. We'll get into him in just a minute because I agree. $5. What about the MOU Notre Dame signed? Imagine it's SEC team bumped for them next year. What is he referring to?
I was going to ask you what you thought about that. So Notre Dame's athletic director said today that an MOU for the changes for the playoffs that start next year was signed, and it guarantees Notre Dame a playoff spot if they are ranked 12th or higher in the final end of the year playoff poll. And if it goes to 16 or goes to 14, as long as they are ranked 13th or higher, they are guaranteed to go. And I want to know, how in the hell did the other conferences agree to this?
How did that even become a thing?
It's insane. But the athletic director said it today. And, during his fits that he was throwing about them not making the playoffs over a team that, beat them head to head. But let that little nugget slip. And I think that is very interesting because they're right. Who goes if next year? Is the committee petty enough to make sure they rank him 13th so that they don't have to deal with this? Or are they going to bump, they're right, a 5th SEC team or a 6th SEC team or something like that out of the playoffs? I don't know. I don't like that.
That's wild that's even like, can we all get one of those MOUs signed?
Right.
Now, we've heard a lot about MOUs being signed, so we'll see how that works out. But I didn't hear that. That is very interesting. I'll have to take a look at that. We could talk about it more tomorrow's morning show. I said this in the voice chat: win the effing games and you're in. Stop crying. You lost. Participation trophy much, and put the committee's feet to the fire and get clear parameters of what we're graded by. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I mean, Notre Dame had opportunity. They understood their schedule. Their schedule was stacked up front, and this is what Notre Dame tried to do. They tried to put all the heavy hitters up front, knowing
so that they could say,
if I lose early enough, you almost forget about the losses, right?
And that's benefited teams in the past. So, I mean, it's not like they were completely off base with that line of thinking. They just didn't realize they were going to end up in this group with the teams that beat them as your possible pools for the last seats, in there. If the head-to-head doesn't matter, I don't know what the hell we're doing here. And so while I agree that Notre Dame's losses are better than Miami's losses, one of Notre Dame's losses was literally Miami. So how are we going to say like, oh man, well you lost to the 10th ranked team, so that's why you're in over Miami. Excuse me, sir, the 10th ranked team is Miami. Like that is, there's no logic to that at all. So I think Notre Dame would win if they played tomorrow. And I feel for them in that aspect, but like head to head has to matter.
Yeah, so a lot of people were commenting on that because I was arguing that today that I felt Notre Dame's losses were better than Miami, and I know that sounds crazy, but that's taken into consideration of like you have
But
two
it is
just
true.
yeah.
That's
If
true.
you lose to SMU and unranked Louisville, both on the road, where these two guys lost to who are arguably two of the two playoff contenders. And again, it's more I just think how we are conditioned and how we perceive these rankings. Like we all kind of have an idea and a thought of how we think they should be ranked. And we've never really had an
Right.
issue where there's been a head-to-head deciding factor where the person ranked
Right.
above you beats you. And everything else is the same outside of the losses and whatnot. But yeah, they beat you. We've never had this problem. So the one-to-one's never really been a thing. Because I feel like, I mean, like how A&M, I feel like A&M fell pretty far for losing to Texas, personally.
Yeah.
I think
I agree. I mean, I think Vanderbilt has one of the best arguments of anybody in this. Like the committee legitimately told us last week that unfortunately Vandy has no quality wins because Tennessee fell out of the top 25. They fell out of the top 25 from 19, which is a decent fall because Vanderbilt spanked them. So the message they sent was had Vanderbilt only won by 1 point, Tennessee would still be ranked. Vanderbilt would get a quality win and they may be in over Miami or Notre Dame. That's such an insane thing that we are now going to tell a team it's better for you to go easy on your opponent so that they stay ranked than come out and make a statement win.
because even the other thing you could argue is Notre Dame played a lot of similar opponents that Miami played and looked better against them here as of late. It's very interesting. The whole thing is just a kit and caboodle. Our coach is going to be in Gainesville the first part of this week taking care of some business. He said he's working on his next job. Let's talk about John here a little bit, Allie. An incredible week one. I want to get maybe you can give him a grade on a first week as a head coach. I feel like we could be a little bit of the honeymoon stage just because of what we went through for the last 4 years. And I've been tweeting a lot, tweeting through it over the last week. And everyone's kind of giving me flack for it because I've noticed, because our coach liked to call his plays. If you go look at the coaches that are in the playoffs right now, a lot of the ones that looked really good are head coaches. Even Kurt Singetti in his interview yesterday, they were trying to talk to him about the defensive side of the ball. And he was like, look, I know I was a defensive coach, but I had to make a decision when I came here. I'm a head coach. So if you want to talk about defense, talk to this guy. I don't pay attention to that anymore. And I feel like that's what we got with Coach Summerall. And I'm very excited about it. But I'll let you at it. OC hires, any other hires maybe you're hearing about? What do you think so far for week one?
I mean, I think you can't give him anything but an A. And I do want to preface this. I know I'm sure it's been all over your YouTube comments. It's all over mine. People saying like, you're back on the wagon, feeding us the positivity. We need to see it, and I get that. I want to see it too. But right now, the only thing we have to go on is the words. So, when the ball kicks off in August, we can talk about what is being put on the field. But for now, this is the only thing we have to grade. And I do feel that it's positive. And, I like his personality. I think it's very different than Coach Napier's. I like his aggressiveness. I think he's sassy. I think he's a little brash. I think those are all things that Florida fans do incredibly well with. I think his OC hire was a home run. And I think his DC hire was a double to a triple, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that they are both, especially in combination, really good coordinator hires. And I'm interested to see as the rest of the staff fills out where we're going. I was talking in a chat that I'm in with you. Like, we'd love Phil Troutwine to come down. That would be huge. Offensive lineman that played at Florida. I know Phil personally. I've known him since we were 18 years old. And he is incredibly cerebral, which I think is important in coaching football. He is brilliantly smart, knows the positions group so well, has done a great job at Penn State, would be a great ambassador for the university. I think that would be a grand slam hire. I'm sure there's lots of other quality coaches, but that's one of the positions I'm watching. I want to see who we bring in for O-line. Our O-line has underperformed once we got some okay talent, but has also underperformed in terms of recruiting, as well. And we had two of them. So I think that that's a key position. And then I want to see who we retain from the old staff. We haven't said a whole lot about it. Are we retaining Jaluk? Are we retaining Chapman? Are we retaining Billy G? I think at least 1 to 2 of those is important for continuity. Who can you hold on to? Can you hold on to Jaden Baugh? I mean, I will tell all kinds of lies if he can, is able to keep Baugh. I think that would be massive for next year. And, but so far I'm impressed.
Yeah, the Ball situation is going to be interesting. My dad thought about that too. He's like, "Do you think we may retain Ball?" And I go, I don't see how we could, and I think that we financially we should be able to keep up. I think the GM will have a different approach than our past GM, and Coach Summerall's already made it a point. So he's going to ask for a lot, and I think by missing out on a running back commit this class, you're going to have to hunker down on that. And if I'm Ball, it's what does he want, right? Because I'm sure ETN obviously will left to go play for championships, but also I'm sure he was compensated well to go be a running back number one. Ball is no question to be running back number one. I think the O-line is going to be a huge factor. Who am I running behind, Coach? So it's going to be tough.
I do think that the OC hire bodes well for keeping Ball.
I agree.
Think that if you look at his body of work, that should excite Jaden Baugh. I had heard, you probably heard the same thing prior to that, this was one of the OCs that Baugh was potentially willing to stick around for. There was potentially some other names that maybe he had somehow indicated would not be somebody he would stick around for. So, I think that this is going to be interesting in the next couple of days. Obviously, the portal opens January 2nd. We should know all of our coaches well before them. I'm hoping we know them in the next 10 days.
Yeah.
It'll depend on how I know. Again. Yeah, and I know he's got to go back up there and coach. I did see, which I think this is interesting. You probably saw this, where he's leaving basically like directions for his players for them to run a bi-week workout schedule the first couple days of the week by themselves for him. And I mean, I'm sure there's other staffers there. It's not like everybody's picking up and going to Gainesville, but he personally will be in Gainesville to kind of get some stuff in order for here. But I think that's interesting that he trusts his players enough to do that in playoff week. And I think the fact that he signed both classes the same week, was able to take care of business in this game. Like, I was pumped. What, did you watch special teams on Friday night?
I was through the moon watching this game. And again, because I had zero expectations going into it, I wasn't going to really judge much outside of just the simple functionality of the team, the discipline of the team, the special team, just how he managed the game, his timeouts, how you could tell when he kind of chimed in of like, hey, we've got to dial this up. But there was full trust in his team. And even his quarterback said, he goes, look, he's the greatest coach we've ever had. I mean, this guy is an absolute treat. And you could just tell like just how that quarterback was. He empowers the people around him. And he even said it himself. There was a quote of like, when I walk into the room, I change the room. And that's not cocky.
Yeah, I turn up the temperature.
Yeah. It's just like, everyone's like, all right, coach is here. Like and I know exactly what he's talking about. It's just a feel that you want to carry with yourself. And he carries that aura on the sideline. But yeah, this week's been phenomenal with his signees and then coaching that game. I'm sure he's kind of catch-22 because there's this shiny new toy awaiting for him in Gainesville to hit the ground running. This is what has to change too. It's not, he should be able to take a job and be able to still, I love that he's like, hey, I want to leave it this better than I found it. And he's just hammering home on that and doing everything that he can to bring it. But I didn't want him to win when last week. The way that he handled himself the first 5 days, I'm like, go do what you got to do, Kat. I mean,
I think it's a great recruiting pitch. Hey, I've coached in the playoffs. Yep. I know what it takes to get to the playoffs. Like, I think it's a great pitch. And the fact that we already know our coordinators so they can be handling recruiting, the fact that we signed a class that is as strong as it was, I think kind of relieves a little bit of the pressure. Obviously, you're going to get guys in the portal that you want. I honestly think he's going to have lost by the time the portal opens anyway. But you have less needs than you maybe thought you were going to have, particularly if you re-recruit your own team strong enough. So I think it's a great sales pitch. I think it is, the college football gods smiled on us that they play Ole Miss. I just think it's such a juxtaposition that Tulane is coming in with the coach that we are letting coach in the playoffs, that Tulane is letting coach in the playoffs, and everything is completely copacetic. And then you've got Ole Miss, who allowed the offensive coordinator back in the building, but Pennish, the head guy, isn't letting him back in the building. It just, like, what great television. There is no better sport in the world.
I'm really excited for that game, in all honesty, outside of the other G5 game. And obviously there's biased reason for it, but I don't know. It's a weird situation. Could there be an upset alert? I think there could be. I think talent-wise, I think Tulane, there was holes. Definitely there were some gaps you could tell. And North Texas, Morris was just trying to be the smartest guy in the room. And who knows what's going to happen, because and somebody said a good point, I think, about the Lane situation here. No, they didn't. I'll read these super chats here in just a minute because there's some good conversation. But oh, no, they did. How did they not drop Ole Miss by losing Lane? Because during that Florida game, Lane took over the play sheet. Like vividly of like, we are not going to lose this game. Give me the damn play sheet. So I'm interested to see what Ole Miss is going to, do. I think they're going to come out there and play with a vengeance. They're obviously pissed off with how things went. And if they do I'm cheering for Tulane. I wouldn't mind seeing Ole Miss going far in the playoffs. But honestly, I think, and everyone's trying to say these playoffs are going to be whack because of the two G5 teams. Look, the second round of the playoffs is going to be cinema, regardless of what happens. Unless there's like a too crazy upsets with JMU and Tulane, it's going to be fantastic football. You're going to have exactly what you're wanting, in my opinion, the 8 best teams going at it and really getting a true champion this year, outside of last year, which we had, it was a little clunky. $5. Vandy should be in. Diego deserves the Heisman and playoff. And to hell with Notre Dame. Cry more sitting out a ball, weak ass hissy fit. I think it's Fernando Mendoza's, or you go 13-0 and still get left out because your quarterback was your whole team from firm handshake. That was, I was okay with that. I loved that. Yeah. Watch John Gruden's take on college football. It was just, I watched it. It was a roundabout way of proposing 16 teams. It was just a unique way of proposing it. He didn't propose anything new or earth-shattering. It was just a unique 16 team. Did you see it?
No, but I read.
It was 7 minutes, and I'm like, he just said he could have just kicked it off of like, hey, we'll just go to 16 teams. Now, the way that he proposed it was cool. Like, I can't remember exactly now, but like your conference champions get certain buys, but he incorporated your like 12 and 13 teams playing those G5 teams. So they're essentially playing in a play-in game, right? It's your first
spot, right?
Correct. So it's 16 teams, but you're still incorporating the G5, which we've also notated here. Why didn't Ole Miss
just go ahead and have their own playoff system?
And then and work to get into a different conference like UCF did. $5. Why didn't Ole Miss get penalized so liar to FSU 2 years ago, pretending that that's the same team without Lane is preposterous? That's a good point. How they weren't bumped at all.
But think about this: if Lane came back, could it potentially be worse than it would have been without Lane coaching there? Like maybe the committee has watched his players for the past 10 days, like we have, call him a liar and say that the things he said that happened in that room didn't really happen and all of this. So like if he tells them he's leaving, but Ole Miss lets him coach, is it all warm and fuzzy through the playoffs? I think that there's a chance they come out and they play better because they are so motivated by what happened to them. But the reality is Lane doesn't take the field. Lane doesn't call plays normally. I understand what you're saying. You took over the call sheet when they played us, but that is not his normal role. That's Weiss's role. So, and Ole Miss has reported for the last couple of weeks of his tenure, he was very checked out doing these interviews with other schools and tours and all of this different stuff, that how they played the last couple of weeks was what they're going to look like without Lane. And I mean, we'll see if that's true, but I think losing a head coach and losing your entire team, which is essentially what happened with Jordan Travis. He was their team. We got to see a game without him prior to the final rankings. And we saw that the Florida State team that played in that ACC championship game and that played Florida the week before or whatever was not the same team. So we had physical evidence in front of our eyes that they did not look the same. And if Ole Miss is telling us the truth, we also have that, but we saw they maybe even looked a tick better.
Yeah, I think that's a better argument, that we had data to support the Jordan Travis thing. I'm not a huge fan of like Well, it's the he said, she said. Like you can't go based
Right.
off of that. And if
No,
it's notated in your system that hey, if a coach is not, if there is adjustment, whether it's in the coaching or on the staff, that you would be looked at, then I agree with it. I do think that FSU had a little bit more data supporting the argument to push them out than Ole Miss does. So that is a good point. I think A&M
I
should be
think
ahead of them. I think that's wild.
the
I think
problem with what the committee did to Florida State is that they didn't drop them until the final poll. And what should have happened if they were going to use that as their argument was that as soon as he got hurt, they fell because that was them saying, we do not think they're as strong a team without him. The issue
kind of like
was
Notre Dame and
basically
Miami.
exactly what happened today is that
Well, they
it
have
was
all their
you
data.
and great TV is what it happened in both scenarios. They could have saved a lot of heartache for Notre Dame and a lot of heartache for Florida State fans if the second, like Notre Dame should never have gone ahead of Miami if they had the same number of losses, if that's what they were going to say at the end of the day. And Florida State should have dropped the second Jordan Travis was hurt if the argument was going to be they're not the same team without their starting quarterback. It feels very unfair to do it at the very end, but we wouldn't have tuned in as
Definitely
much.
must watch TV because I think about the last 3 years. And 2 years ago, I was in the airport at the Charlotte airport after the ACC game. It was Christmas because I was surrounded by FSU fans when they were left out of the playoffs, and it was everybody was tuning in. I mean, you looked around the airport,
Yeah.
everybody's glued to their phones because of this argument that
Yeah.
was being portrayed. Last year, nobody gave a damn. We all knew who was going to be in it. It was just kind of seeding because of the SMU Clemson situation, but there were no surprises at all last year, none. And I remember watching last year, I was out on a date with the wife, and I just glanced up to see where Clemson was going to be because I knew the rest of it. Today,
Right.
we were all once again glued to our TVs. Is who's going to be pissed off? We're ready for it. There was a whole so many opportunities. Could Duke squeak in? So yeah, it was definitely a dog and pony show.
I mean, you lost 5 games, so you don't really have a legitimate argument. But like, how shitty you win the first conference championship since Spurrier, and it means nothing, and a team that didn't play in it gets to go.
So that also is going to be the first notch to that your conference championship. You can argue the other way. You could just argue that your tiebreakers are ass versus that your conference championship.
Yeah, I think you start there. You start and change those first.
Yeah,
because that's a minor thing, and then you go and see if that has really helped or not.
That would be your first argument before you start saying that they don't mean anything. Just get the 12 best teams in. Yeah, it's still only 12 teams from Teddy, and then Gator Recon Summerall is about to ruin the Kiffin experiment for LSU. And Mr. Joe Durr says, "Happy birthday!" Thank you, buddy. Thank you.
It's your birthday?
It is.
Happy birthday!
Thank you. Getting old. It's knees are hurting. Yeah, this is my merch, boys. All this is my merch. We got some new Summerall merch. We've got Air Summerall. We've got drop the maybe cuz merch all on our show on our shop, hightopsport.com/shop. Having some fun with it. Hashtag GMFG will be out soon, so keep your eyes and ears peeled for that one. How do you feel that I think LSU's done a good job as much as it's fun to watch a little bit of the chaos? I think he did a good job of retaining Baker, signing the class that he did sign. Because my goal was to judge Summerall up against every other coach that's been hired, right? I think that's important. And something I was going to, you talked about Brad White, and we kind of got away from it for a minute, but saying that it's a double, right? In the sense of level of hiring. I think it's a very similar situation to Ron Roberts, and we were ranked 65th this year. We weren't really the flashiest of defenses. I just think that Ron did a phenomenal job of keeping things maintained. We just didn't have a complimentary football on the other side of the ball, in the words of our guy Napier. And I think Brad can provide that, and if not more, to be honest with you, with better staff as well.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting when you look closely at White's stats. Kentucky had better defenses under him before NIL became a factor. And I do wonder how much of that played a role because you're only as good as the players you have. And I do kind of wonder if they either lost some or didn't get in with some guys that they maybe would have had a shot with had they been in a place offering more money. So I thought that was worth noting. But honestly, going back to the Mullen era, Kentucky statistically has been better than Florida most years. So I feel like even if it's a, just not necessarily a home run, it's still probably going to be an improvement, even over Ron Roberts, because the stats tell us that. So I think it's a solid hire. I think when I think of Kentucky defenses the last 7, 8 years, I do think of very physical football teams, and we want that at the University of Florida. We've been known for that in the past, and they've worked together before, which I also think is important because they know each other's tendencies, strengths, and weaknesses, and they'll be less of a getting to know you phase, which I think will also be helpful.
And I think there's two things. One, I say it's if we could have kept Ron, I think a lot of people would have been okay with it just because of the production that he did. But Ron's a douche.
Mhm.
I mean, and I don't mean that as like a bad thing. Like we've heard the stories. I don't think he's the most loved guy in the room, and that's okay sometimes. But I also don't think he's
Yeah.
out there recruiting on the trail either. So I think we got a
Right.
much more polished version that's going to be willing to.
Yeah.
Billy needed Ron. Billy needed a Ron Roberts. I don't think
Yeah.
Summerall needs a Ron Roberts in the.
No, Summerall's his own enforcer, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so it's you're kind of getting the same person with different personalities.
Yeah.
Is part of it, and I forgot where I was going with that. Oh, I think that also there's going to be a complimentary. Like, look, he's had to work with a Kentucky style type of offense, and I also believe in a more of a stoop style where it's like, hey, let's contain it. Because if you look at his offense, it doesn't cause for a lot of blitz, doesn't cause for more much aggression from Brad White. But I think that Summerall will add that in there. We've heard him talk. You saw it on Saturday. What I loved seeing, or on Friday, excuse me, against that North Texas team. It's very different than the week before. I mean, it looked like a new team.
Mhm.
Like they understood the assignment of like, hey, we got to go play North Texas. We're gonna have to throw different things at it from a defensive side of it. And I mean, usually you can kind of get tendencies of what guys are gonna do offensively. I didn't know what to expect. I really didn't. Even watching, I mean,
Usually, I think that's our PTSD showing.
it might be. Maybe we
and-
that's how
and
like dumb we are.
I think good coaches coach for the team that you are playing, not just always this is the scheme and it's going to work or it's not going to work, and we're going to tell you it's not the scheme. I really think we are just battered women at this point.
Yeah, so I don't want to like get on this beat Napier up train, but I think there's going to be a part of me that kind of just watches from afar of how he navigates this JMU thing. And I'm sure you saw the tweet. I think you actually tweeted it, or at least comments. His copy and paste tweet. That's
that
tough.
is just so bad. But the crazy thing is, he didn't even make that tweet. You know he didn't, which means he's hired someone to do social media and PR, which is worse because at least if he did it, you could be like, man, that dumbass needs some PR help, which I have thought for years. But he employs someone to do it who is that bad. And that to me is even more
worse.
mind-blowing. It's even worse. But I don't know, all the tweets that were like, oh, who's he going to hire as his OC? And all the Gator fans being like, I got some news, was hysterical to me. But he did well at Louisiana. I hope that he does well. I have heard that he is a very good person. So I also don't want to bash, but like, we've all been able to see what the problem was, and he could never get past his own ego to fix that problem. That's not an us problem. That's a him problem. And I also have no issue calling that out with our news staff. Like, hey, these are the things that drove Gator fans batshit crazy. These are the things that didn't work. Could we please do something different?
And again, yeah. So the copy and paste thing was weird. I mean, again, it's just a tweet, so who cares? But it's like if you just are just showing up to each place doing the same thing, like it's different places. You should that again. Twitter is huge now. A lot of players look at it, fans look at it. Like that is your first true message to everybody. And what I love is like my coach now is up at like 12 a.m. retweeting Miles Graham stuff. Like it's actually him running the account. You can tell. Now he may have to get somebody to run it pretty quickly with how we act.
Yeah.
But yeah, some people are still kind of complaining that he didn't write like a good bye letter. I could care less that he did or didn't do that.
I wouldn't care about the words at all, but it's basically pretty standard like think about all the coaches that were fired this year. We saw a letter from every single person.
Even Brian Kelly, and that was an ugly one.
And even Brian Kelly, who by the way then had to file to sue his school to get all of his money owed. Like I think you say, thank you for continuing to show up with me. I know that the product on the field wasn't up to the Gator standard. I wasn't happy with it either, but I appreciate my time here and the relationships that I've made. Go Gators. Like you don't even, it does short and sweet. Ask Chat GPT to write it like Strickland did in his opening press conference with Summerall, and send it out. It is literally just a formality. I don't give a shit about what it says. Just send the tweet. And he's literally purposefully not. And it kind of makes you second guess all of the he's such a nice guy
True.
stuff.
True. And he took his boy Jacob LaFrance with him, which was very interesting given
I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have had the opportunity to stay. So,
well, yeah, I didn't think that, but I think he could have gone elsewhere. Is more so what I was alluding to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Couple super chats. Happy birthday, cuz. To many more. Thank you, Blanco. Tim, thank you for the $10, man. I appreciate it. Allie joined the High Top cast permanently. I think Allie does pretty damn good by herself. I don't think she needs us, but thank you. Ryan, $1. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Oh, Coach O for D line. He's been in a lot of Tulane games. I believe his son's on the staff. Could it be a pitch though?
It is his stepson that is on the staff, and I'm pretty sure that there's, at the very least, some conversations that have gone on. Now, whether or not that will result in anything, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure some discussions are at the very least being had.
Buddy, Buddy Martin, get them fingers ready, bud. Drop the article. I love it. Wait, real quick. I thought about it. You had Herb on, like, give us the whole hype on Lane Kiffin. Meanwhile, he's over here incognito recruiting John. Did you talk to him about that? I'm like, what's up, bro?
Yeah. So I had him on the Monday before the Tennessee game. And at that point, they were still in it for Lane. So he had not talked to Summerall yet. And from my conversations with Danny Warfel, both on air and off air, the Summerall stuff, the vetting happened, at the same time, but the like major in-depth push and conversations didn't happen until they were pretty sure Lane was not happening, which was timeline, at least according to Warfel, which I have I believe everything that he says. Like, I think he is such an upstanding guy that I do not think that he leads us astray on this. Is essentially that we were all a few days behind where they were. And so Urban was not involved with Summerall at the time I talked to him. He did try and convince Lane to take the job. But the second I heard the Friday, was it Friday? Yeah, Black Friday. The Friday before the Florida State game, I was told that we were getting Summerall from a pretty reliable source. And they had told me that Urban had 2 conversations with him and was really sold on him. So I knew the second that was told to me that we for sure had to be out of the Lane sweepstakes, because there's no way Urban would be convincing Lane to take the job, talking to him about it, and also trying to get Summerall to take the job. Like, I knew Lane had to be out at that point for him to have pivoted to that. But I do think that happened relatively quickly. And I don't know. Is he the next Urban Meyer? Apparently, Urban thinks that he has a very similar personality to himself. So I don't know. That'll be interesting to watch.
So, I mean, Warfel was obviously he was in on it from Jump Street. So Urban was kind of a last minute, hey, come this.
Yeah. Urban was not a part of the committee at all, but Urban was when they thought it was Lane. And Lane and Urban are friends. Urban said that, which I was shocked by that. But and so I think it was more of Lane reaching out to him to pick his brain about it, just the same way that he talked about how he confided with Saban and talked with Saban. I don't think Urban was trying to convince him from an official University of Florida capacity. I do think when they had to pivot that they were like, hey, Urban, can you do us a favor and talk to this guy and see what you think of him? And probably, no one told me this, but probably because it's going to be more of a gamble than they felt like Lane was. The whole fan base wanted Lane. So if Lane didn't work out, it was not Strickland that was wearing that or that committee that was wearing that. It was all of us because we all wanted him. But if they pivoted, they were going to have some assurances that the person they pivoted to, was had the support of some other major UF players. And I think getting Urban's stamp of approval was probably important in this.
Now, I think it's too early to tell, but a lot of people seeing the stuff that's come out since the hiring are kind of like we dodged a bullet. Has been a little bit of the
Yeah.
narrative. Do you feel that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't listen, I don't really care if my coach is texting co-eds or complaining that yoga studios aren't too hot or any of that. I just want him to win ball games. I don't need him to be the godfather to my children. I just need him to win. So
I was like,
listen, if he
do
was
your
doing
thing, Lane. Just do your thing. Just come get some W's, baby. You know what I mean?
literally like if he was my coach and all these stories would be coming out, I'd be like, all right, great. Sounds like 06, 08.
Yeah, we're back.
I'm
Oh, we would
like,
lean right into it. I amen to that.
100%. Um, but I think that you can tell that LSU is already like, oh, geez, what did we
Yeah.
get ourselves into? And I think that it's gotten so ugly from the Ole Miss side that, like, yeah, it's nice to not have to worry about those things. It's nice to have a relationship with Tulane where we can support them and Gator fans tune in to watch the game, not hate watch, real watch, and, support them and stuff. So, in terms of the circus, I think we dodged a bullet. Now, whether we dodged a bullet about coaching, that
That's
completely
tough.
remains
Yeah.
to be
Look,
seen.
I think
Yeah.
I love that we got a psycho. So I think
Yeah.
that's Lane looks soft. I don't know if it's the vegan juice or whatever he's got going on, but all of a sudden he's wearing like looking like kind of just got the Old Miss swagger. He shows up to LSU. He's wearing these like tight pea coats. I was like, brother, what happened
Yeah.
on the plane ride over? You know what I mean? So I don't know. He lost. Maybe I don't know. He's got a little soft on us. Maybe this whole debacle took a little bit out of him, but he seems to be dialed in. He dodges the game day presser. That was an interesting thing watching Saban and everybody. That was a very uncomfortable conversation. It felt like Saban was trying to protect his boy a little bit. Sounded like everybody else kind of tired of the bull crap. I do feel, and I kind of saw it, right? Saban is the old guy in the room that has always been able to strong arm things and has been the GOAT. And people will just automatically kind of bend the knee. I think now that he's been on the panel with them, they're like, brother, we can't just think you're the GOAT and just not push back anymore. And it's starting to get more even. And they're like, just because you say it doesn't mean it's gospel. And they're starting to, and I love it. And he's like, who do you know who you're talking to? And it's like, brother, you ain't their coach. Like, just because you say it doesn't mean it's the truth. And I was like, some of the stuff he was saying was right, but some of it was like, you're just saying it because you have a bias. You genuinely do. And I think that's where it was like interesting to see where it's like, you're starting to see like somebody who's always kind of play this even keel be questioned more and more. And it's like this aura is being broken down. I like it.
And the other thing is that, you've got him sitting in press conferences saying that Nick Saban told him his dad would want him to take the LSU job. And then, the day before you had Saban sitting on the game day desk, trying to lay out both sides and different things. And it's like, you're not unbiased. So please don't sit at the table and pretend to be unbiased. He could have sat there and told us, listen, I don't know what Lane's going to do, but I personally told him he should take the LSU job. But like, that's not what we got. And I don't know. I think that people are like, wait, was this, why were we not upfront and honest about this? But I will say, I kind of have an issue with Ole Miss not letting him coach the playoffs, seeing how this has all played out. Because if you're going to let Charlie Weiss back in the building to call plays,
what's the difference?
Then what's the difference? At this point, it's all at risk then. If you wanted to stand the ground and say, listen, anybody that left, we don't feel comfortable with them coaching because we feel like they could be recruiting our roster. We feel like it's split alliances, whatever you want to say. But the moment you backtracked, as soon as you realized you weren't going to have an offensive coordinator, you lost all credibility on that being your reason.
Yeah.
They are punishing Lane Kiffin. They are saying, you don't get to finish what you started because you don't think we're on the same par as LSU, and we're mad about it. And I almost wish they had been honest. He didn't pick us, so it doesn't feel right for us to let him continue to coach. And
that was fine, but you deterred that when you brought Charlie Weiss back, right? That's what you're saying. Yeah, agreed.
Right. Yeah, I would have been fine with it if you had stuck with it. But the second you thought maybe it would cost you a playoff spot or you wouldn't be as good, you were able to reverse course a little bit, and you should have just let him coach then at that point.
Did you see? I can't think of I think the guy's name's Steve. He's the bald head guy that picks all the dogs on game day.
Mm-hmm.
He made the comment, he goes, a coach once said, if you were to ask Vegas who's favored to win this game, we would be in it. Meaning he was arguing for Notre Dame. Like if you were to say Notre Dame versus Miami, like you just said, who would Vegas favor? And it would be Notre Dame. And Saban said that a couple of years, I think last year, like if you were to put this on Vegas, who would be favored? And I think he was speaking of himself. I think he was still a coach actually. And he said that. Bro, Saban, everyone's talking and he just drills him. Go back and if you didn't see it, drills, I think his name's Steve, and looks at him and pulls his pointer. And Pat and Kerb are like, holy shit. Like you could tell Nick was like, because he got cornered. Like he was right. Steve just used his own logic against him. But Saban was trying to push a different agenda in that moment and got bamboozled by it. I was like, it's funny watching when your words can come back to you to haunt you. That guy Steve is one of those like little geniuses that doesn't say a lot, but when they do talk, it's like bam.
I'll put that in my back pocket.
Yeah, they save it.
Yeah. And I do think, we've seen a lot of this in the playoffs. And I remember that argument when Alabama got laughed out a couple years ago. We were like, okay, but Alabama would be favored against blah, 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 blah. And I understand that. But like, unless we're going to let Vegas pick all of them.
That's what
hey, listen, that would be our best games. We would get our best 12 teams if we let Vegas determine it. But
maybe that's the new BCS. But then it becomes a money thing. I don't know. Let Kalshi pick it.
I don't know.
It's our sponsor. Let the people pick.
I don't know. The idea of people sitting around in a room who absolutely have things at stake and absolutely could not possibly have enough time to actually watch all of these games and do their real jobs as athletic directors, picking this just feels wrong when we could have a system like the BCS that isn't biased, that doesn't take human emotion into it, that isn't benefiting for their conference getting one more team in, and that politics are less involved with. Like that is
Vegas.
I don't know.
Vegas might come back down and be the answer. That might be our move. I do want to do this because let's talk about our sponsorship, Kalshi, which I want to get pick your brain on who your pick is for the national championship. And right now, Kalshi has it as Ohio State favored by 29%. Then Indiana at 22, then Georgia at 18. Those are your three betting favorites according to Kalshi. Then it's Texas Tech, Oregon, and A&M in that next tier. Then it's Bama, Ole Miss, Miami at 3%, but they're just getting into it. Mind you, Kalshi is driven by the people, not Vegas, where you all put your money in and you drive it. Ohio State, before yesterday, was favored by 40% and has dropped to 29 after taking a whooping. It wasn't a whooping, but they got handled by Indiana yesterday. Again, Kalshi, it's much different than your sites. I love it because right now you could take, like I've been saying this the entire time, take an A&M, right? These odds are subject to change. And once they do change, just like the stock market, you can remove your money from that and take your profits and win from it and then move it elsewhere if you would like. So right now with the code HIGHTOP, the link down below, you can use Kalshi, get $10 off your first $100 deposit. With that being said, Allie, who do you like first? Maybe any first round upsets, or do we see a clean sweep here? I mean, the only upset we could see maybe is Alabama over Oklahoma, but is that really 9-8? Is that really an upset?
Yeah, I think that there's a great chance Alabama beats Oklahoma. I don't consider that an upset. I don't really. It's going to be hard for you to have an 8-9 and me to feel like either way is an upset unless somehow one of the G5 guys got ranked up that high, which would seem incredibly unlikely. But I think it's likely we see a clean sweep across the board. It was interesting last year how poorly the teams did that got a bye. That is more interesting to me.
Yeah, so that was what Cody was talking about, and I talk about it from the baseball perspective. So I don't know if you know how MLB works, but just the new changes they've had, because now the wild card used to be one game, but now it's a 3-game series. So in baseball is extremely rhythm and momentum. So you play every single day, and then you go right to the most important time of the year, and your best teams take off for a week while the other teams are playing. Now there is a disadvantage. You're going through your rotation, but now you're going through 3 games. So by the time you get to that first game anyways, you're back to number 1. So if you go back and look, since this has happened, a lot of those teams that have had better records have lost because a team that just won their wild card game comes in hot. The same thing, I think you could look to this. Now, I think it's not enough data because last year we had the issue with Boise getting a bye. Like teams that got a bye, Clemson got a bye, right? They shouldn't have got a bye. That was the problem last year, is you gave 2 teams that were ranked 13th the 3 and 4 seed, and your 4 best
Right.
teams didn't get a bye. So
And at least we don't have that this year. That is at least we don't have that.
I think that'll change a little bit. But with that, you think it'll be clean sweep, which I think so too. I think the next round going to get a bit dicey, but who do you like to win it all? Who are your final 2 teams? Give me that.
That's a great question. I think Ohio State makes it into the finals. I'm pulling up right now so I can look at how.
Oh, okay. I can tell you. Oh, so you don't know how the bracket shakes up just yet. Okay.
I mean, I've seen it. I just don't remember it off the top of my head. So
yeah, but how it comes together is important.
How it comes together. I mean, there's a great possibility that we have another Indiana Ohio State rematch.
Yep.
I thought Indiana was incredibly impressive. I have not watched them a ton this year because there's a lot of SEC football on, but I was incredibly impressed by them. I think they're physical. I think they play smart. I honestly expect them to go far, but if we're looking at this, I think it's Indiana, either Oklahoma or Alabama. Obviously, I'm going to give Indiana the nod over any of those there. And then, I cannot imagine a scenario where Oregon loses to James Madison. So then that's them and Texas Tech. I kind of like Texas Tech in that one, though.
That's what we did.
I think Texas Tech is a dang good team. And so, from there, it's Indiana, Texas Tech. I think that's a match, a toss up. We go to the other side of the bracket. I think A&M beats Miami. I think A&M and Ohio State's a really interesting game. I feel like we've seen A&M be really good and really suspect. So it kind of depends on who shows up. But Ohio State having that bye week and A&M maybe getting to be in a rhythm, maybe that makes a difference there.
We took A&M, and I think the defense of Elko is gonna put Julian in the box. I really do.
I think so. That's going to be an interesting matchup. I think Ole Miss wins. I would love to see Tulane win, but they've already played, and we saw the outcome of this. It was 45-10, something like that. So that's going to take a Oxford miracle, to be anything but Ole Miss. And then there's no space in my brain to think that Kirby Smart doesn't beat a head
either one of those teams.
Ole Miss, they're just So, Kirby's going on. So is Kirby going on and playing Ohio State, or is Kirby going on playing A&M? I honestly think Kirby would rather play Ohio State out of the two. But, this is going to be fun. There's going to be, especially that second round.
Second round's going to be great.
Football being played, just great football. But I think I think your final are Indiana, Texas Tech, Ohio State, and Georgia, probably, or A&M and Georgia, but more than likely Ohio State, I'm going to say. I don't know. I don't know. And then from there, I could see Georgia getting there. Kirby Smart is the best coach in college football right now. Yeah. I think that he makes the best adjustments. I think he's the meanest coach out of all of these coaches left, which I absolutely love.
Kurt's close.
Kurt's close. Kirby's just so vindictive and so I don't know. He's an absolute psycho. Kurt is mostly psycho. Kirby Smart
Georgia is Ohio State of last year. They are finding their stride at the perfect time, and everything is clicking. We picked Georgia and Indiana as our final 2, and I think that that's so far along to see which team is going to win, because I think a lot will tell. Jason said the Big Ten is
injured somewhere along the way. That makes a huge difference, and obviously we don't hope that happens, but that changes predictions. But I like that. I think Georgia, Indiana would be, which means we could have just had the top 4 teams, and we would have ended up with the same championship, which means 12's too many.
Yeah, but it's fun football for us. Don't do that.
It is. I like. Too. Let's not underrate the regular season. Let's not underrate the conference championships. I want all of this to matter, not just for 6 weeks in the winter.
True. I mean, I've enjoyed it. I mean, yesterday I will say the only game that I really cared about watching was the Big Ten, because it was the first time, in my opinion, where Ohio State and Indiana finally were going to be truly challenged. I watched a lot of Indiana football because I really wanted to see this year if they were about it. And what I saw, I wasn't surprised at all. I think they're a really good football team. And yes, the Big Ten as a whole may not be good, but these two, Ohio State is a hell of a football team. They have talent. It's disgusting how much talent they have on that football field. That was what was eye-opening to me. I think Ryan Day lost in that game last night, personally. But Indiana is well coached. Fernando Mendoza is a surgeon back there. That I'm telling, like I said it at the Penn State game. Go back when I said it after they drove down and won Penn State. I go, that was monumental for that Indiana team. They looked like Patty Mahomes in Kansas City. They couldn't be stopped, and it clicked for him. Fernando is a surgeon. He's so fun to watch. He's so good. His pocket presence is phenomenal. Like how he talks and how he looks on the football field.
His interviews was just like
he's a goober, and I love it.
Yes.
Yeah, he's just having fun, but like you can tell he's a psychopath. Like he's a mass murderer on the football field too. Like he just something clicks. Him and Gunner are finding a rhythm that is disgusting to watch right now. But at the same time, they ran the ball with will. And I think again they're just a well coached football team. Indiana is so. I think it's gonna be good, but I think it's Georgia, Indiana, and I don't know. Indiana's hot right now, hot, like Polar Express hot chocolate hot. $2 from Martha. Allie is so smart and very insightful. She's fantastic. And Dubster Griffin QB1, my wish. Allie, there's almost 1,000 people here, not 500 likes, which is disappointing. But tell them where they can give you a follow and a like and a subscribe.
On YouTube, a peek inside Florida Gator football. On Twitter or X, whatever we're calling it these days, it's at Ali ALI_peak, which is PEEK.
And then we're trying to get to 30,000 subs. So if you guys can sub here, that'd be great too. Who do you got for Heisman? Last pick.
Ooh, I think I'm going with Diego, but there's some good choices this year. I mean, you can go with Fernando too, if that's where your heart is. That's what it looks like. But I would love that as a bone for Vanderbilt. I feel so bad that the best season in their program's history, if it's any other year, a 10-2 Vanderbilt team is in. I think if it's any other SEC brand, a 10-2 team is in. And I, at the very least, think, okay, like he is the most valuable player on their best team in the history of the school. That I don't know. I think that would be a cool moment for them. And I think it's great for Clark Lee to the fact that he's planted his flag there, makes it pretty clear he wants to stay there. I'll be interested to see if that remains the case. But as of right now, like that's where he wants to be. What a cool recruiting pitch too, to be able to talk about having a Heisman Trophy winner at Vandy.
Yeah, it's Fernando's. It should be his. It's not even close, I don't think. I mean, look, Diego's story is cute. I mean, we can write about it and good for them. We can put him with the JMU in the top 12 as a consolation prize. Fernando whooped everybody that played. That Penn State was his moment. Diego never had any when the lights were bright. Diego got too quiet for me. Again, he was exciting to watch at times, but the consistency lacked. I know he's the favorite from what I've seen, but I don't know. Mendoza did.
You don't like him for his mom.
I'm married. I'm locked up. I've only seen one photo of her, and I wasn't sure if it was real or not.
Because you're always making your mom jokes. I'm pretty sure it is. I've seen a lot of videos and pictures. I'm pretty sure that is his mom.
Yeah, I've seen. She's pretty. She's very young for a mother. That's for sure. But yeah, listen. I mean, she's
a lot stands for a mother too.
Yeah, I'm more. I think that's Theo Vaughn's guy or girl anyway. So I think she's off the market. But. Yeah. Yeah, for the mom jokes, that would be good. But no, I think Fernando has earned it. But great show as always, Allie. Thank you. This has been a blast. It's always a blast to get to chit chat. I know that the fans love us going back and forth. So thank you so much for spending the time with us. We'll be live tomorrow morning, first thing in the morning. So make sure you guys have the bell turned on. If you're not subscribed, please do. And go give Allie a like, a follow, and a subscribe. Oh.
Sounds good. See you later.
See you guys. Peace and love, baby. Love Mrs. Plavia.
It's hot.